Good afternoon, everybody. It is August the 6th. It's Friday. We are heading into the weekend, and it is episode 38 of Lessons in Leadership. My name's Mary Gregory. I am absolutely delighted to welcome. This is a special edition of Lessons in Leadership because we are zooming in from India today. I'm very delighted to welcome Ritu Kapoor. Hello, Rita.
Hello, Mary. Thank you for inviting me. It's a great honor.
Oh, it's a real pleasure to have you here. And I'm just kind of excited to have you here, and also excited to think that you are over in New Delhi and we're having this conversation virtually here live, which is just amazing. So, Rita, you are quite an incredible person in that you have a background in training and development. You worked for a big corporate for over 10 years and you headed up there in their healthcare division, leading training across 6 hospitals, which is quite phenomenal. But since then, you've also set up your own consultancy, Rainmakers Services, which again, you know, during these very challenging times, you've managed to keep that your company going. And particularly, I'm interested to hear about how things have been for you in India during this very tough time during the pandemic. But let's start off by just inviting you to say a bit more about your journey of what has brought you to be where you are today. So if you could just tell us a bit more about that.
Great. Thanks, Mary. Mary, to begin with my life's journey, I would like to start with my all-time favorite quote by William Arthur Ward.
Oh.
And I strongly believe in this quote. And the quote says, adversity causes some men to break and some to break records.
Oh.
And my life's journey is all about that.
Right. I love that.
Yeah, it's my favorite quote. And I always quote this. You know, my life's journey is all about that. And I had 4 major life-changing episodes.
Right.
To begin with, the first one, Mary, was when I lost my dad in 1990. I was just 17 years old. And, I had started blaming the God, why me? Why my dad? He was not that old. So in a way, I was blaming my father for leaving us so early. And, but looking at my mother, she was a very strong lady. And looking at how she was coping up with the loss of her partner, taking care of 4 children with little savings, no income, living in a rented house was just amazing. So
she was a fantastic role model. But I also hear even before that, you experienced what all of us experience, particularly when we're facing adversity, is that you experience feeling powerless and like you're blaming your dad. Why did he leave us? Which, we often go into that victim mode, don't we, when we're faced with those difficult circumstances.
True.
But how fantastic that your mother was such a strong role model for you.
When I saw her, that she had accepted the reality with a smile on her face. And whatever direction our life took, it was just because of her love, courage, and grit that kept us afloat.
Yes.
And I decided, looking at her, I decided to change my life story. And I recall that my dad always wanted me to be strong like a cock.
Yeah.
And he always called me as his brave little girl. So
yes.
I thought, for how long I need to be in this emotion, for how long I need to feel that I'm a victim.
Yes.
I lost my dad and, all the other children have their fathers. So I decided, for how long I want people to have pity on us.
Yes, yes.
So I felt that it's time now to shift from a weak Ritu to a strong Ritu and take control of the situation, take care of myself, my mom, my family. Because if I feel sick at this moment, my mother has 3 other children to look after. She has to take out more time, more medical bills if I fall sick.
Yes.
So I think probably that was the first time I realized it's very, very important to bounce back. And I feel if I can bounce back, anybody can.
Right.
So I feel it's very important to be resilient.
Yes. So that was kind of your first lesson in resilience when your father died.
Yes.
So what happened then? You said there were 4 key lessons that brought you to where you are today. So what was the next lesson?
Yeah, the second one was, Mary, on 25th of December 2015. My mother had a stroke. I came back home from work a little early that day, and I saw my mother was sitting just near the main door, and the door was wide open. And I asked her, "Why have you kept the door open?" She said, "I'm unwell. I am not able to move. My shoulder is paining. I don't know what's happening." And her mobile phone was kept far off from her, so she couldn't call for help. So instead, she decided to drag herself towards the door, which was close to her, and call for help.
Yes.
But unfortunately, that day nobody was around. And fortunately, I came on time at 6 o'clock in the evening. And that was the time I was very nervous. Mary, I can't tell you those expressions, those series of actions. Oh, I really feel jittery, when I recall that episode.
Yes. Yes.
But another lesson of resilience I saw in her, that, wow, at this situation also, look at her presence of mind. She was able to drag herself to the door and open the door and call for help.
Yes.
And at that time, I realized that, it's very important to look at the seriousness of the situation and act accordingly rather fearfully. And
Okay.
so I took charge of my emotions. I called the nearby doctor. I immediately started checking her BP and sugar levels. I called my siblings, the ambulance, and I started talking to her so that she's awake and she's fine. And at the same time, I also started packing up stuff like cash and biscuits and medicines and clothes, because if we are taking her to the hospital, we need to take care of ourselves as well.
Yes.
Because if we fall sick at this moment, who's going to run around in the hospital for her? That was the second episode which really, really hit me.
Yes.
And
So there's something about how resilient she was to keep her presence of mind despite what had happened to her, to get to the door, to call for help, and for you in that moment to do what was important, to not allow your fear to overcome you and your anxiety to overcome you. You just took action and got the help that she needed.
Yeah, because initially, you see, I was very nervous, but when I saw her, I decided to be strong like her.
Yes.
And similarly, Mary, if I say my third episode was when I got a spine ailment. One day I was training in the workshop and suddenly I was not able to step forward.
Yes.
And luckily, there were some doctors sitting in my workshop. They took me to the emergency and we realized that I have a spine ailment, a slipped disc, which was a surgery case.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, no, I don't want to get the surgery done. And so they allowed me a 20 days, bed rest. And I lay straight on the bed next to my mom, who had a stroke. She was paralyzed. And now we both were dependent on other people. And that time, Mary, I felt that, what am I doing? Doing household chores, going to work, coming back late with more work, two bosses with different views, corporate politics. So what am I doing? Am I born for this? Where is my life going? Is work my life, or is it part of life? So many thoughts came to my mind. And then I felt, no, it's time to reprioritize my life. And I got ample time those 20 days. It was an eye opener for me. And I actually reprioritized that her health will be first, then my mom, family, and then comes work. Work will be, I will be happening simultaneously. So that was the episode when I felt that, it's time to reprioritize my life. And I decided that I'll think positive, I'll be back in shape again, because if I am not in shape again, who's going to take care of my mom? Because my mom was very, very dependent on me.
Yes.
So that was the inspiration, some hidden inspiration, I would say, that looking at my mom, she was very positive. And so I thought that, let me just change my story again. And now I'm fit and fine. Everything's fine.
Which is remarkable. So you've already told us 3 stories of how you you changed your story, you keep saying, which I think is a really valuable insight for all of us, is that we can change our story. We don't have to keep repeating the same mistakes over and over. We can change the story and we can recreate our lives and make our future different from our past. And you did it physically, emotionally, on many, many levels, is what I'm hearing. And the last story you shared was absolutely physically, so it's to do with your back and healing yourself. But what then happened next? Because this is a fascinating story that you're sharing.
Yeah, the next one actually took me completely into depression. Mary, I lost my mom in
Right.
2019. I lost her in Jan. And, I was very strong in front of other people and I never cried. And, but I realized inside I was going into deep depression. I was losing weight, losing appetite, not feeling, I didn't want to talk to anybody, didn't feel like
Yeah.
doing anything. So my inner voice one day said, now hold on, Ritu, you need to pull yourself up. So you need to start talking positive and you need to come back. Recall what your mother was. She was your role model. Recall how she was bedridden, yet she was positive and she was able to stretch her life for 3 more years just because she was positive. So I started diverting my mind. I concentrated on my career. I decided to innovate more training programs. I started writing, and so I decided that my Rainmakers company will go in full swing now. I started coaching people. I started talking to them, sharing my expressions of grief, how I'm able to come out of grief. And the best way, Mary, was I started writing. I overcame my grief by expressing my emotions and feelings in small verselets. And you won't believe it, I got my book published on my mother's birthday this year on 22nd of June as a tribute because I curated a book of poetry for her.
Yes, that is absolutely wonderful. And so many congratulations for that. What's your book called, Ritu?
My book is in Hindi. It's a Hindi poetry. It's called My Yadon Ki Barat Dastak, which means it's a memory album full of memories, and it's a knock at your heart.
Oh, sounds
Dastak
wonderful.
dil par is a knock at your heart.
That sounds absolutely wonderful. And what a memory to, and what an accolation of your mother as well. What an acknowledgement of your mother to have that published a year further down the line from when she left you. So that is just remarkable. And what a story in terms of recovering yourself and how to manage, because grief is huge and can go on for years. And what I'm hearing is you noticed for yourself, you had the awareness, and you managed yourself to stop going into that big depression, which is so easy to fall into and understandable in the circumstances as well. So you mentioned that at the same time you kind of took the reins of your business and really got your business singing and going for yourself. Now you have a recruitment, learning and development consultancy. You also do mentoring and coaching as part of your consultancy. Tell me a bit more about how you managed to set that up and get that going under the duress that you were in, because it sounds like you were managing a lot of grief at that time, and yet you still managed to get your business going.
Yeah. So, Mary, let me share with you that I started my career very late in life. My brother had started Rainmakers in 2006. And from 2006 to 2008, because 2008 was the year when I actually took up my first corporate training job with a very well-known group, And so 2006 to 2008, I worked with my brother. But prior to that, I was doing some freelancing, content writing for various corporates. I worked with BPOs for a while. I was teaching students. I was going as a visiting faculty. I was training, the teachers, coaching. In 2008, when I picked up this job, and I worked for 10 years for this well-known company, I started as a trainer there, training insurance. And later I was handpicked for a very, very senior role in the same group company. And so I decided, that I will continue working here. But unfortunately, as I mentioned, my mother fell sick. She was bedridden. And she wanted full attention, somebody to be around, and everybody was working. So I felt that I had always thought of becoming an entrepreneur by 2020. And when I was in school, I never wanted to be in full-time employment, to be very honest. I wanted to do something of my own, some business, be an entrepreneur. So I had started talking this at my workplace also with my seniors that by 2020 I will resign, and I'll become an entrepreneur. So I think life gave me this opportunity, which was probably good or not so good, I don't know. But my mother fell ill; she was bedridden. I wanted some time off from work. I never took leaves otherwise, but this was the time I wanted leaves. But my two bosses with different views, they were not very sensitive of the fact that I need time right now to be with my mom. So I was a little disappointed and I decided to quit in December 2017. On the other hand, my skip level manager, the CEO of the company, was very, very considerate. And I'm thankful for him to coming out, he came up with a solution and we came up with a different working arrangement. Because looking at my mother's health condition and my situation, he said, it's okay, you can be a retainer with us. So that's how Rainmakers picked up another annual contract, retainership contract for their clients for training and content and for them. So we were working for them as well as their clients.
Okay, so I just want to step in there because what I'm hearing is that the CEO of your company demonstrated a degree of flexibility and adaptability to your circumstances and was sensitive to your circumstances, unlike your two line managers. So we've got a very distinct example there of really compassionate leadership that, with your CEO adapting and being able to meet your needs and keep meeting the needs of the organization he was leading. Whilst the two line managers had much more of a fixed view, is what I'm hearing.
Correct. That's right. That's right.
But that sounds like a great arrangement. So you were able to you didn't even part company. You just changed your working arrangement so that it worked for both of you.
Yes, yes. And also, Mary, I was a coach. Since I was coaching, I was doing a lot of behavioral workshops.
Yes.
And I was coaching people, and I was a certified coach and NLP practitioner. But I always wanted to learn more in this field. And thanks to the pandemic, I did 2 more certifications in this field. I did my life purpose coach, and I did my visionary leadership coach. And earlier I was practicing coaching in the group. Now I'm doing one-on-one. I did a lot of pro bono sessions last year during lockdown because people were not able to pay the money, but they required coaching.
Yes.
So I coached them, especially those who were in grief due to loss of their loved ones due to COVID.
Yes. So that sounds amazing that you offered that service to, and I know that in the UK we have quite an organised service offering support to the NHS on a pro bono basis to help with people's resilience. Sounds like you've been doing that off your own back in India, which is amazing. And you've really talked a lot about resilient leadership and how to be resilient today, which is great. I'm also curious, though, to hear more about what it's been like to keep managing and leading your business. I mean, talk about lessons in resilience in the pandemic in India, because I know that in the UK, we felt a lot of concern about how things have been for India and everything, and you've had a very tough time. So could you share a bit more about what it's been like leading your business during the pandemic whilst in India?
Yes, Mary, the situation was really bad, I would say, it had a huge impact. People were losing jobs, salary cuts, furloughs, no work-life balance. People were working day and night, late at 2 p.m., doing meetings. It was difficult to track the performance of people.
Yes.
And so promotions were on hold. So it was very, very difficult. Many people approached me how to keep their team engaged, trainings, but then they were not ready to pay for that.
Yes.
So this situation was very bad. And I feel that at that time, and in fact, we are still going through the change curve.
Yes.
We're still going through the change curve. Because many of us were not ready to accept the distress and the anxiety and the depression. The situation was quite heart-wrenching, Mary. If you ask me, I never read COVID news, to be very honest, and that's how I diverted my mind.
Right.
Initially, I started reading it every day, then once a week, and then once a month, and then I realized that this is pulling my energy down.
Yes.
So if my energy goes out, it goes away. This then how am I going to inspire people?
Yes. Yes.
So I was aware of the fact that such news brings a lot of negative thoughts. So I diverted my mind towards music, towards writing, towards Reiki. I'm a Reiki healer too.
Yes.
So I started doing that. And if nothing else, but I used to put a lot of makeup to pep myself up.
It's amazing what we can do. I mean, I put on a dress the other day. I'm part of a choir, and we actually had our first performance for 18 months, and putting on a dress and putting some makeup on. What a difference it felt. It felt almost like normal. So yes, I can totally do the things that make you feel good. I love the fact you listen to music, wrote, whatever it is that has inspired you, so that you can keep inspiring other people. But I'm also conscious you've mentioned that you've coached a lot of people. You've coached leaders of teams and their teams for nothing. You haven't accepted payment for that. How have you survived through this period?
So, Mary, during that time, I attended a lot of webinars. I conducted a lot of programs, webinars like you're doing these weekly series. I did lockdown webinar series, skilling trainers, the new trainers.
Yes.
And I was mindful of the fact that if I give out all my content and I don't earn anything, what is going to happen to me in next 1 or 2 years? But at the same time, I felt that nominal amounts. People who could not pay at that time, I gave them scholarships so that they can attend and grow. It's all about a sense of satisfaction. At the end of the day, I got some sense of satisfaction that I've done something good for somebody.
Yes.
Be it supporting an NGO, or be it training some new trainer. And I feel that it's all about the mindset. You start thinking positive, everything works for you.
Yeah.
So also I felt that control the controllable. Now if somebody approached me for some work, like a company, obviously I can charge them something, and negotiation always happens in projects, you see. So I feel that it's all about controlling the controllable. If some learner, if a student really wants to learn something and right now he's not able to pay money, it's okay. I'm just going to train that person. It's really okay for me, because I am a kind of person who would not go for money. But yes, I felt during pandemic, the payments were on hold. The new programs which were about to start just vanished. The new projects just vanished. I was really concerned how I'm going to pay to my retainers, my people who are working. But somehow we did manage, whatever projects were coming in and whatever ongoing projects, the payments got delayed, but we paid them and we didn't cut anything. We suffered the losses, but we didn't. So the only thing I would say is that when that happened, the people had huge respect for us. And honestly, I did not do that for respect. I just did because my conscience did not allow cutting salaries or cutting some payments, because they deserved it. They worked towards it.
Yes.
So
I'm hearing that there's massive integrity in what you did. You did it from a place of the heart, coming from your heart of wanting to support and do good and help people during these difficult times. But I'm also hearing you trusted the process as well, that you would, you followed through, you paid those people that were in your employ, you were consistent with that. And you did get some earnings coming through from companies that were paying you for it as well. But I just want to acknowledge your generosity and your willingness to support and give to people in those in this what's been really difficult times for us. So you talk about, I want to inspire people. You are a complete inspiration, Ritu, to have done what you've done and to keep doing what you're doing. It's remarkable. So we're coming to the end of our time. It always seems to go around so quickly. I know that India, you're still navigating the pandemic. Are you still in lockdown in India?
No, but
You're not.
there are restrictions. The restrictions are going on. All
Yes.
offices are not open. Many people are
Yes.
still working from home, but few
Yes.
essentials like banking, finances, insurance, these offices are all open.
Yes.
But there are some rules that we need to follow.
Okay.
And
Okay.
yeah, I think
So
it'll still go on. It's just about, if you see, it's just like Mary, if I may ask you, can you control the weather outside?
of course you can't.
But can you control the temperature of the room right now you're sitting in?
Oh, yes, I can control that. I can control that. It's
So control the
controlling what you can
controllables.
control. So I was about to
Correct.
say what are your parting words? But it sounds like those are your parting words in some respects. Control what you can control. Focus on your zone of control, and that will
Yeah.
make a difference.
Yes, and Mary, honestly, I would also like to say that reframe your thinking. It's very important. So, Mary, if I may ask you again, if you have a small bunch of flowers and I give you
Yes.
another small bunch of flowers, how many would you have?
Well, I could either have 2 bunches of flowers or 1 big bunch of flowers, I guess.
Exactly. Yes, Mary, that's what I wanted to highlight. It's just about the lens that you look at.
Yes.
And it's all about seeing something that is beyond fear. Something exciting is waiting beyond the fear. And
Yes.
that's how it being resilient, it's just like an elastic. You pull it, you leave it, comes back to the normal size.
Yes.
And are you being resilient in that?
Yes.
And you can always
Yes.
develop those attributes.
Fantastic. Well, listen, Ritu, thank you so much for your wisdom today. Thank you so much for sharing some very personal stories as well, which have some very powerful lessons in them too. So I'm really, really grateful to you coming and coming live with us today, all the way from India. So it's been fantastic. Go well. We must
Thank
meet
you.
again at some point. I know that we must do this again at some point. So I'll be in touch again. So
Yes.
and I'm going to say thank you to everyone for watching today as well. It's been, I hope you've enjoyed Ritu's stories and wisdom as much as I have. Do put your comments in the box below, whether you're watching now or watching in catch up. We always love to hear from you and we always respond to your comments. Next week, we'll be having another amazing leader joining us at 12 noon again on next Friday. It'll be the 13th, Friday the 13th next week. So I look forward to seeing you then. In the meantime, have a great weekend and we'll see you soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mary. Lovely talking to you. Thank you so much.
Lovely talking to you, Ritu. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you.